Hi, everybody. Happy morning to you if you're watching in the morning, and if not, happy whatever it is to you. It's morning here. It's a beautiful day. I think we're going up into the 60s, maybe. That's what they're telling us anyway. That would be lovely. Actually, get out and go for a walk today. I appreciate the warmer weather. One of my friends sent me a link for a video. It's on YouTube, and it's kind of a documentary piece, about an hour and maybe an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. And it's about brain research, which I'm fascinated by. And in this case, it's looking at older patients with dementia, and the role that music can play in releasing them from their dementia. And it is just fascinating. It shows someone who is sitting there with his head bowed, not able really to pick it up and engage anyone, just sort of grunting responses to yes/no questions even. And they put earphones on him with a little iPod that had music that was important to him when he was younger. In his case, it was Cab Calloway and some of the other singers and bands during World War II. And you watch him listening, and they are playing the same music so that we can hear it too, and we see him, and he just slowly comes alive. First, he starts going, and then he starts singing with it. And he was a gospel lover too. They have gospel songs in there, and all of a sudden you hear him singing and harmonizing with the gospels and sitting up and talking. It's this total transformation of this man. Then they show you another woman who's in bed, can't even get out of bed, and she is not engaging the world at all. And they put music in her headphones, place them on her head, and all of a sudden her feet start to move while she's in bed. And then kind of her shoulders go a little with the rhythm of the music. And then eventually she's, opening her eyes and leaning back and singing. It is miraculous. It's, the Greeks used to talk about this. They talked about the healing power of music in different keys. If you were ill, they would play music in a certain mode. And if you were having emotional difficulties, they'd play a different music in a different key, in a different mode. And they were onto something. And now we're finding, of course, music therapy deals with a lot of this. They had Dr. Sachs, the great brain researcher, as a part of this documentary too. And it was a social worker who just stumbled on this, and he loves music, and so he wants to find out what kind of music would elicit those responses from us, and usually music from our earlier years, and that music just transports us right back into that time. And then our whole body responds. And then the doctor starts talking about the reason why this is the case is because music is stored in so many different parts of our brain simultaneously. And one of them is in all of the places where music is stored are beyond the reach of Alzheimer's and senility. Just fascinating. And that got me to thinking about people who have their favorite comforting, Bible quotes, or their favorite comforting stories, or their favorite comforting associations with different things spiritual. And, maybe it's candles, maybe it's incense, maybe whatever it is that stimulates them. And I got to wondering what those are for myself, thinking about that. I mean, I know I have certain musical pieces that really speak to me, as probably you do too. And mine is such an eclectic palette that it would be interesting for someone to try to find the things that would speak to me, whether it's some classical things or The Carpenters. I mean, things from high school, teenage years. That got me thinking about making a list. And I'm wondering if I should do that so that people would know how to reach me or something, if I go into that place where I'm unreachable. So I think about that sometimes. Do you? So anyway, I encourage you to think about that too. What are the songs or the performers? Who are the performers, or what are the styles and the genres that speak to you? And are there certain Bible verses that speak to you? I try to have this conversation with people in my congregation, especially the aging ones, and to write them down so that I'm prepared when the time comes that we have to have a memorial service. Some of them are more helpful than others. There are a couple of you, and you know who you are, who have yet to give me back your emergency information sheets. And you've been working on them for 2 or 3 years now. Thank goodness we haven't needed them yet, but please finish those up if you haven't turned those in yet. But I'm thinking about it just in general. What are things that comfort you? Where do you turn when you need reassurance? I know you call me, but if you weren't calling me and you were just left to your own devices and you couldn't turn to someone for comfort, what would be the verses or the stories that in the Bible, maybe, or regular non-biblical stories, or what would be the musical pieces that give you comfort? I think now's a good time for us to think of that when we don't need it, kind of like insurance. You pay for it before you need it. What are the musical pieces, or what comforts you? What would be most comforting to you if you needed comfort? Where do you turn? So, guess what? That's your assignment for today. I'd like you to think of some of those things and jot them down, and make sure you tell somebody, or at least leave them where people might find them. If you want, put a list up on your refrigerator, and every time you think of something, just go write it down on the list. Oh, yeah, I really like that story. Oh, when Jesus said blah, 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 that was really comforting. Oh, to remember that, for instance, one of the things for me is Joseph, when his brothers find him in Egypt and he knows who they are suddenly being told who he is and that they had sold him into slavery. And he looks at them and he says, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. I love that. That speaks to me in so many situations when people are unkind, or when it's like things are just out of control in life. God can bring good out of this. Those kinds of things. What are your, top 10? What are your top 10 favorite musical pieces that would remind you of your identity? Captain and Tennille. Crazy, isn't it? Captain and Tennille. Well, I went to college with Tony Tennille's cousin. Is it Tony's cousin? Yes, I think so. Yes. Anyway, so I digress, and my mind just went in that direction. But the things that can really speak to you and can anchor you in your identity, we need to be in those, and we need to use those as touchstones, even when we're in our right minds. It just reminds us who we are. It anchors us. And puts us back with the ground of our being. And it can, just like that, it can just clear the decks and help us to focus and know who we are. That's the thought for today. Thanks for joining me for the prayerful pause with the pastor during this beautiful changing light. I just can't get over how in springtime all the light changes. The angle changes. Of course, the distance from the sun, we're in this elliptical orbit. And then the tilt of the planet. It all figures in there. My little corner of the world, almost all the snow's gone now. Yesterday there were quite a few patches. Today there's only 3 in the shade. So we're gaining on it, kids. We'll be outside in no time. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. And until I see you next time, God bless. Take care. Be careful. Have a great day. Bye for now.